Links down below as always to credit the original uploaders of these articles. Again, this is one of my gaming news videos where I just kind of highlight a couple of different articles that I think is interesting in hopes that you care. And then maybe someday I'll average more than 100 views a video. That would be wonderful now, wouldn't it? So Phil Spencer wanted to acquire ZeniMax, Nintendo, TikToks, Warner Brothers back in roughly 2020. And these documents show that right here from Phil Spencer. This is the real deal because of that whole thing where they had to go to court, right, with the acquisition of Blizzard Activision. And basically these are FTC court documents that have been leaked. They've been taken down on most websites, but some people like MP First here still have the original email. It even says here, it's clear that Microsoft at one point really hoped to add Nintendo and even Valve to their roster. And the email also included talks of Microsoft trying to acquire ZeniMax and Warner Bros. Interactive as well as TikTok. However, they did in 2021 successfully acquire ZeniMax, but their attempt to grab Warner Brothers and TikTok ultimately fell through. And again, this was before, in terms of the Nintendo thing, this was before the acquisition talks of Activision Blizzard. So now if they try to do that, it would not be met with some good criticism. Well, criticism's never really good, is it? It could be. Anyways, I just wanted to share that with you so you can read a little bit in further detail if you want. I also wanted to share with you really quick a game that I still enjoy playing post-game. Dead Island 2 in a couple of weeks on November 2nd is going to get its first story DLC. And it is going to include a new location, both 3 weapons, 8 skill cards. And it should be a fun time. It's going to be a stylish villa in Malibu, California. Again, if you want to read a little bit more on that, if you want to watch a little video or something like that, you can go ahead and do so. This is to keep things moving along because I have a habit of flapping my gums 100 miles an hour, but generally trying to get to the point as quickly as possible. The PS5 Slim is real. It's coming next month in November, okay? So again, with these articles, you're going to be able to read into a little bit more detail. What I wanted to share with you here first and foremost is that Sony does confirm that your PS5 Slim is still going to be able to be expanded with storage. And with the last update that we got on the PS5, it now allows for those M.2, NVMe, PCIe 4, LMNOP, HDTV hard drives to support up to 8 terabytes of data. The original PS5 Slim came with 825 gigs, right? But we were only able to use 667. Based on that calculation, the new PS5 Slim is going to come with an actual 1 terabyte. So that should leave us with about 842 gigs, assuming that the system stuff, gigabytes that's taken up, is the same on both. So essentially, we're going to be close to the 825 that we were supposed to get with originally. Okay? So that's what I wanted to share with you. Yeah, there it is right there. Support up to 8 gigs, which is really, really neat. But another thing that's actually really neat about the PS5 Slim. So these are markup drawings. However, those are the real machines. Okay, if that makes any sense. So the volume has essentially been reduced physically by about 30%. And its weight between 18 and 24%, depending on if we're talking about the Slim or the Slim. If we're talking about the disc or the non-disc, which the digital only is technically like a Slim. I have the digital only because I don't do discs. Good for me. But then we've got all the funky technical inches and millimeters if you really care about that. So again, you could go ahead and look at all that and compare Xbox Series X and all this kind of stuff. If you really, really want to get down into it, you can go ahead and look at that. The other really interesting thing to talk about is the Ukrainian children, this pop-up that keeps coming up. If you give the video a thumbs down, your bank account will essentially be emptied, and it will go towards this $23 a month to provide urgent medical care. That was me trying to be cringily funny. Is that a word? If it isn't, it is now. You're going to be able to, and no, I'm not sponsored by them. You're going to be able to remove the Blu-ray drive. It's going to be detachable, and it's going to be able to be purchased separately if you want as well for $80 US. Okay, so whether or not, so basically what I'm saying is if you buy the disc version, you can remove the optical Blu-ray drive, whatever it's called, and then you could put like a regular flat panel on it. Alternatively, if you buy the digital and you wish to upgrade to the disc version, you're able to do that at a later date. So you can basically convert them like a transformer, is essentially what I'm saying. Again, $80. Another thing that's worth noting is that both the Slim Jim Digital and Slim Jim Disc, they're going up by $50. Okay? So a half a grand US for the disc and $450 for the digital only. Okay? So those are some of the changes. Now, when it comes to hardware changes, as far as I understand, and from what I've seen, that's how many changes there is to the hardware. There is none. So your games and quality mode aren't going to magically just run at 60 FPS, which is what I'm hoping the future is going to be for the mid-year iteration. Speaking of PS5s and Slims coming out and all that, Phil Spencer did mention, by the way, that he was hoping to have the next Xbox out, like the next Series LMNOP, whatever it's going to be, in 2028, I believe. It's somewhere. Oh, there, right there. Hoping to release the next Xbox in 2028. I just had a light bulb go off in my head there when I was talking about the PS5s and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, mid-iteration, I would have liked to have seen something a little bit more. Maybe we'll see that. This is just speculating now. I'm just talking out of my ass right now. This is not anything I've read. I'm wondering if that could be the future. That would be really cool. Because I think the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox, whatever they're going to call their stupid console now. And yes, I have a Series X. I've had every goddamn Xbox, and I've had every PlayStation in the history, so I'm allowed to make fun of them because I still support them. They're practically the only two people you get a console from, except from the Switch, which I also have. Got to have that for Zelda Breath of the Wild and a few other exclusives as well. But yeah, I think that would make sense to have a mid... I don't know if it's going to happen. If we're going to have like a mid-console iteration, whatever it's called, like I said, where quality mode would be basically running at 60 FPS, and then performance mode potentially would be running like 120 FPS, that would be really cool, because sometimes it does make a big difference in terms of the visual fidelity that you'll see between both modes. What I'm hoping doesn't happen, I don't think this would happen. I'm going to share my thoughts anyways. I'm hoping that the PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox isn't going to have graphically the same look as the PS5, but just running at a higher refresh rate. Because that seems to be a big thing that goes on sometimes. I have people that complain that say they can't even go back to 120 once they've gone up to like in the 200s. And I'm thinking to myself, to each their own. To each their own. However, I've always argued that once you go past 60, there's a diminishing return in terms of how much you feel the difference. I'm not saying there isn't a difference. Like when you play Madden, for example, on Xbox Series X, and you do the 120 FPS, oh yeah, it's snappier than the 60 FPS, but not as snappy of a difference compared to 60 from 30. That's what I'm getting at. My whole thing for immersion, and this is just my personal preference, I don't care about 4K, 60 FPS, HDR, and all this crap. What I care about is 1080p. Ultra settings. Look at Red Dead Redemption 2 as an example of a game on PC that looks absolutely glorious. And that's 1080p. I mean, you could put it in 4K, but I'm saying even at 1080p, if you crank up the graphic settings and the draw distances and all that, and the ambient occlusion and all that funky stuff, and the tessellation reflections, and then you add HDR and you add ray tracing, like if you add all of those things and then you make it, let's say, ultra wide, like 21:9 aspect ratio instead of 16:9. So 4:3 was what I grew up on. It was essentially almost a perfect box. Then in a roughly 2004, 2005, we made the transition to 16:9. So we still had the same height for field of view, but we went wider from a square to wider. I'm saying imagine if we could go even wider, but it's still 1080p. Again, ultra graphic setting. Sure, have the ability to do 1440p and have the ability to do 4K, right, at the extra wide resolutions. But what I'm saying, and I've always argued this again, is the amount of extra power that is required to pump out that 4K, I don't feel is worth it. So like the new Forza Motorsport that just came out, there's a couple of graphical things that you can select. One of the basic ones without ray tracing is 4K 60 FPS. 4K 60 FPS, no ray tracing. What about 1080p or 1440p? Have 60 FPS or 120 FPS along with ray tracing. And if you can't do that, then make it 1080p, ray tracing 120. I'm just saying the more options you have, the more you're going to literally cater to everybody. If you give all these people around the world that are gamers a plethora, a cornucopia of options, you are literally going to please everybody. Like I said, it's not that I don't like 4K, but good luck getting 4K on ultra wide, right? With max ultra settings, draw distance, all those things that I've already discussed. Not going to get it. I don't care about 4K 30 FPS, which seems to be the norm in a lot of cases. 4K 30 FPS or 1080p, sometimes 1440p, 60 FPS. I will gladly take that any day. I'm just saying. Oh, so again, with the Forza Motorsport, I wish they would have had a 1080p. Maybe we could have had better draw distances, ray tracing, which is an option in the game, but it drops it down to 4K ray tracing, 30 FPS, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't get it. Me personally, I don't get it to be that gung ho over 4K when to me HDR makes a bigger difference, and HDR doesn't even impact performance. That's what's amazing about HDR, right? Anyhow, that's enough rambling. I love to death making these videos more than anything else I make on my channel, aside from my cringy Batman little skits that I do. I love playing video games. I love recording them and sharing them with the people. I've been on YouTube now 5 years active. We can clearly see that that doesn't really go well unless I'm playing like World of Warcraft or something like that and I'm doing my little gamer vlog thingy. Those, I mean, they don't do well. I get like 100 to 500 views, but compared to some of my average videos that only get 50 views, 500's a lot more, right? And if I do a regular gameplay video and I'm focusing, getting distracted, and I get 20, 30 views, some of my gaming news videos here, like I said, will get like 130, 150 views. Again, that is a joke. There's no denying that. That's a complete joke. But I'd rather, in money terms, 150 bucks in my pocket than $30. Right? So that's why I started implementing a little bit more of these. I try to get to the point really quick, summarize some of the big things that are going on in the gaming world, and then maybe after I'm done that, I don't feel bad. Then, blah, 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 like a real Frenchman, I can just talk all day, crash the YouTube servers from just talking so much. I love this shit so much, which is why I do it. Right? Why else would I be doing it? You think I'm in it for the money? Of course I'm in it for the money. I'm not making that much of it. Although my channel, for reference, does average close to in the upwards of 250,000 views a month. Because don't forget, I have nearly 5,000 videos uploaded, so I do have a few one-hit wonders, kind of like Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice. I'm basically the Vanilla Ice of YouTube. I got a few couple of hits. They get a lot of revenue every single month. And the rest of my stuff is absolute shit. But the passion is there. And the proof is in how often I upload. Right? You don't think I know that this isn't going to make me a nickel? 97% of the videos I upload, if not 98% of the videos that I upload, don't even make like $1. Literally don't even make $1. Doesn't even, it's so low, the revenue on most of my videos, when I go to the analytics, it doesn't even trigger because there's nothing to show. Like literally a penny doesn't even register. That's the reality. But anyhow, I'm very passionate, and I'm hoping to make more of these kinds of videos, assuming that there's more news and conspiracies, or not conspiracies in this case, but like real actual things going on, controversial things. The more of this kind of crap happens, well, then the more content I can make. If there's nothing going on, there's not as much for me to talk about, right? That's enough rambling. As always, if you liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm and making me a little bit more relevant in the search results when people are looking shit up on the internet. You didn't like the video. That's okay. Go ahead. Give it a thumbs down. We'll bend it in half. We'll twist it. And as always, we'll snap it off inside of your ass. And then there's that whole thing with the Ukraine kids again. Where was that? I don't remember. It's usually everywhere. But yeah. If you want to subscribe, obviously that would be great. But if not, trust me, I get it. I get it. There's way too many YouTubers out there and people thinking they're the big shot. And yeah, there's a huge selection for you to choose from. Even I myself as a YouTuber, I don't follow that many people at all. Like, at all. Thanks for stopping by anyways, either which way. Take care, and maybe I'll see some of you in the next one. Bye for now.